Hi, I'm Eleanor Meyerhofer, a native Californian designer and digital strategist. In October of 1999, a few years after graduating from design school, I flew from San Francisco to Munich with a fistful of Deutschmarks, a dial-up connection, and an extremely vague plan. 20 plus years later, after a 10-year stint at a global agency, freelancing, and launching 2 online businesses, I'm still here. Now I'm talking to other expat business owners to share knowledge, stories, and inspiration for other non-Germans running businesses in Germany. I will just kick it off with the question I ask everybody, which is, who are you, where are you from, and what's the 2-minute story of how you ended up in Germany?
Okay, I am Paulina. I was born in Poland. I grew up in England, but I've been living in Munich for the past nearly 8 years. I work as a somatic well-being guide, retreat host, and yoga teacher. And I ended up in Munich mainly for love, and it actually ended up being a way for me to find my own self.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and were you ended up in Munich, not there was no other place in Germany.
Yeah, in Munich directly.
Okay. And did you start your business here, or did you have any other, like, full-time employment in
I was working in corporate up until 2020. And
Mhm.
then in 2020, when I already lived in Munich, that's when I became self-employed.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you ended up leaving corporate and starting your journey as a somatic wellness coach.
Yep. So it was 2020, a year which I don't think we
Oh,
will
right.
all ever forget.
Yeah.
And the company that I was working at, it was a startup, and I was working as a strategic efficiency analyst, just data efficiency in the company. And because of the situation of the kind of mid startup, mid bigger-ish company, they needed to let go of my position. So I
Mhm.
found myself with a nice package of money where I didn't really have to worry, a lot
Mhm.
of time because it was COVID, so there was not much to do. And I discovered I've got the time, I've got the money to learn something that I wanted to learn, which is to become a yoga teacher.
Mm.
And the reason why I wanted to certify as a yoga teacher was not actually to be a yoga teacher. So it all came up very intuitively, very spontaneously, and it just kind of happened in a way. But the reason why I wanted to certify as a yoga teacher was because at the age of 18, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness,
Mhm.
rheumatoid arthritis.
Mm.
And back in England, where I used to live, I had a really great yoga teacher that was able to help me modify the practice, help me really feel like I'm able to still move my body. But because of rheumatoid arthritis, every single day for me, different joints flare up, different joints hurt. And I have very, not specific, because I mean, they're not specific in general, but kind of specific limitations to what my body is able to do. And unfortunately, when I moved to Germany, I was not able to find a teacher here who knew about that.
Okay.
And I take a bit of an extreme side sometimes, and that was one of those moments where I said, "Okay, nobody here can help me, so I'm just gonna learn it myself." And I looked for a yoga teacher training that was specializing in therapeutics and trauma to really understand the body a lot more in addition to yoga as a tradition and a lifestyle. And that is I then did the training. Part of the training was to do some yoga classes, obviously, in order to get certified. And then I ended up enjoying it. I ended up realizing I'm pretty good at it. And then fast forward now, 2015, so 5 years later, I don't teach yoga as my main core offering as much anymore. I transitioned into somatic and emotional exploration because that's the personal journey. That's where I ended up going. It all
Mhm.
started off from yoga, but through yoga, I discovered meditation, spirituality, looking after myself. And it's not looking after myself by putting the bath on and putting some bubbles inside. It's like, how do I really look after myself? And that is our physical body, our mind, our emotional well being. And that took me to therapy. It took me to many different courses and trainings that I've ended up doing to really, it was just all staying curious on how I can
Mhm.
support myself better. And so now that's what I'm able to do for other people. Now that I've passed a certain part of my own journey, I'm able to help people where maybe they are where I used to be before.
A question comes to mind because we are in Germany. Did you have to have any special Ausbildung to teach yoga? Like, was the certification part of that, or you're just like,
No.
okay,
So in general, yoga is not very regulated,
okay,
which is a shame. It definitely should be. I've
oh,
had
okay,
run into a lot of questionable yoga teachers and questionable yoga classes. So I do believe that there should be some more regulation for it. I guess that the only legal thing that I came across in the beginning was making sure that I have the right insurance because I
uh,
am working like with physical bodies and it's
yeah,
not like a fitness class, but it's kind of towards that same direction. So I
mhm.
needed to make sure that I'm protected in case someone tries to blame me for some injuries that might happen in yoga. So that's pretty much the only thing that I needed to make sure that I have when I started to teach.
Is that like a Haftpflicht insurance, or is it a special different insurance?
Yes, it's something along those lines, but I will struggle to tell you exactly what it is because I
Okay,
went
okay,
I went to like an insurance specialist, I don't
yeah,
know, like a person that knows insurances here in
yeah,
Germany, and I
yeah,
was like, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing it online, I'm going to be doing it in person. So what's the best insurance that's going to protect me for this purpose?
mhm,
And so I've had that for the past 5
okay,
years. I have not had any claims or any issues with
okay.
that. It's mainly just a just in case kind of thing that I think it's really important to have, but hopefully we don't have to use.
Okay, yeah, we all have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so somatic wellness, can you tell me a little bit more about what that is and who are the people that you are reaching out to, or who's like your ideal audience? Like who's resonating with that?
Yep. So somatic wellness or well-being, I kind of use these two words interchangeably depending how I feel on the day. Somatic coaching in general is a different side to what we might very much know if we go to therapy. It's very much this talking therapy. And
Mhm,
talking therapy is kind of considered to be this up down approach. So it's all coming from your mind, your
mhm,
behaviors, your patterns, your thoughts, your reactions to things. So, like, talking therapy kind of helps you really figure that stuff out more logically, consciously in your mind. Whereas in somatic therapy or in somatic coaching, because I'm not a certified therapist, but a somatic coach, it's a down up approach. So we're working with the body, with the emotions, with the sensations. And what I mainly focus on, because every somatic coach is going to have their own special area that they're going to want to focus on. I mainly work with women, and my main intention is to help support women befriend their emotions. And that means really allowing ourselves to sit and recognize what emotion am I feeling? How can I, in a healthy way, feel it and release it? Although I'm going to say release it in this kind of quotation marks because I don't necessarily mean release it because I've started to develop an ick for that phrase. Release it for me started to have this connotation that we're trying to get rid of it, but we're not trying to get rid of emotions. We want to feel grief, joy, anger, happiness. Like we want to feel these things. So it's not about I'm going to come into an emotional release session and great, now I don't feel angry anymore because I've released my anger. No, it's about how can I allow myself in a healthy way for my body to complete the cycle, which means feel the emotion coming up, allow myself to feel it and express it so that I can come back into this balance, into this equalness at the end of it. Because very often, what happens in trauma and stress and difficult situations, and I mean, in this daily life, really, we are put into positions very often where we need to push our emotions down. We can't cry because it looks weak. We can't get angry because we start looking aggressive. But actually, these are healthy emotions for us to have. We just haven't, or a lot of us haven't really learned how to. So I mainly work with women who have this I am strong mask, who have this I'm fine, I'm just smiling, everything's okay, like I'm happy, you don't have to worry about me sort of women. And they come to me because they learn through their own therapy, talking therapy. Many of them have already been to some sort of therapy. They've read all the self-help books. And then they realize, okay, I know all of these things. I know what logically is healthy and unhealthy. I know what is a good behavior, bad behavior. I know what is going to benefit me. But when I'm standing in front of people or I am in a heat of an argument, I still snap out or I still feel the intensity of the emotions come up and I don't know what to do about them. Or they're still not really fully letting themselves feel the emotions. So with somatic work, there's many different somatic techniques and practices for us to build safety in our own body that allows us to explore our emotions in a healthy edge way.
Okay. And do you work like one-on-one or in groups? Is it like a I know it's a coaching, but is it like a therapy model where you have like clients come to you and you work online or in person? Like how do you deliver the service?
Multiple ways. So I do it in group settings, but also in one-on-one settings. We do it in person as well as online. In my bigger offerings, in the sense of, for example, our retreats, it's not just a somatic healing retreat. There's many different aspects, and that's also where my yoga would then come into play. But obviously, that's also then on a group setting as well. So various online, in person, as well as group.
Okay. And how did you get it started? So did you started like teaching yoga? Like how did you build up the business?
Yeah, so I started teaching yoga because it was COVID, it was all online. So I think for the first year and a bit, it was a fully online business. I was just teaching yoga. And actually, in the beginning, my main clients, my main niche was very different to what it is now. In the beginning, I was mainly focusing on the chronic illness community. And I was offering for about a year and a half, yoga classes for people diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And then the world or Munich started to slowly start opening up, and I was able to take my online world to in person. But because I think I only know like one or two people with chronic illness here in Munich. So I was like, it's okay. I'm just going to offer accessible yoga classes. And then we started doing it in the park and outdoors because that involved a lot less contracts, a lot less expenses, which we don't have when we start a business. So I was just kind of doing, I think, like 3 or 4 classes a week, depending on the weather, every single time in a different park. And then we started growing a community because community, I would say, in my business, when it comes to everything that I do in my business, community is like the top value for me. Community is the thing that drives all of my decisions, all of my goals and my focus. So we grew a really nice community. Winter came around, so we needed to go inside because it was not possible to do it outside anymore. And yeah, through there, I continued teaching yoga classes. And then, actually, only at the beginning of this year, so at the beginning of 2025, I decided to stop teaching yoga because it didn't feel enough is not the right word, but I felt I wanted to do more or to do something else because that's where my own journey took me. Everything that I offer in my services and my business is very much aligned with my personal journey. So it's not only what did I learn from courses and certifications, but also what have I experienced in my life. And in the beginning, it was very much yoga. And then it progressed into therapy, into somatic therapy that I attended, that I went to. And as I started to learn more about myself, learn what I like to do, I started to recognize that being able to have 2 or 3 hour circles and sessions where we're really able to get into the depth of certain topics gives me such a better or a deeper sense of fulfillment than a 60-minute yoga class. And that also came around because when I experienced the yoga scene in Munich, it very much is turned towards a sports class. And that's not what I teach.
As someone who's like congenitally bad at yoga, I can say yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Very
And
competitive yoga.
yeah, and it was really difficult for me not to stand out from that, but it became really draining to do my marketing and be like, okay, I'm teaching yoga, but actually I'm not teaching the yoga that people here in Munich expect and always experience, because my yoga is a lot more therapeutic, mindful, meditative. There's breath work in it. So actually, while we maybe sweat and work our physical body, it's not a sports class. It is very different. And I just started to pull myself away from it. So I decided, which was not an easy decision because it took me a whole year of thinking if I should stop that part of my business, to stop it and really focus on somatic healing. I decided, yeah, I'm just going to try to give it a go because it was on my mind for a whole year, for the whole of 2024. Every single week when I was teaching a yoga class, I was like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing this. This just feels like I'm dragging it. And that part of my business started to become like, it started to feel really heavy. And I believe that we come into this self-employment journey, we come into this opening up my own business journey to also feel good about what we do. And if a part of that starts to feel icky or sticky or heavy, then that's like a big sign. Like, okay, no, maybe that's not where my business journey should continue. So it was really difficult to make that decision because that's what I started with. That's what my own journey started with. But honestly, it was the scariest, but the best thing I've done for my business.
Okay. I want to like dig in there a little bit,
Mhm.
especially with this starting, just like how from each kind of, I guess, for lack of a better word, pivot, when you started just teaching in COVID online, how did you? That was an interesting time because I was doing a lot of online networking with like people in Rotterdam. Like in a weird way, the whole world opened up. So, how did
Mm.
you first get these initial clients?
Yeah, community. No, honestly, community has been a huge game changer for me personally in my life and in my business life. When I was diagnosed with chronic illness in 2014, I immediately went on Instagram and on Facebook groups, and I was like, am I alone? Am I the only person at 18 years old with rheumatoid arthritis? And honestly, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say this anyway. The people from the chronic illness community are like the most supportive, loving people I have ever met in my whole life. And it was just so easy to build connection. And through that, I had these people. I knew them. We were talking through Facebook groups and Instagram. I would say that these two platforms are, and they were and still are, the main focus for me also now in business, but they were a big part for me personally too. So that when I certified as a yoga teacher, during my training, even when I had to give those classes, I just reached out to the people that I knew and I was like, hey, in order for me to certify, I need to do a half an hour session or a 1 hour session. Would you like to experience this with me? And I reached out to the people that I knew. And yeah, I just started to tell people that I offer this now.
That was online. And then when you transferred to offline and COVID stopped, then how did you build up your local community for the yoga?
Yeah, Facebook groups. Facebook groups. Honestly, it all started off very, I want to say casual. Like, I didn't know at the time of starting it that I wanted to become my full-time thing. I didn't realize what that even meant. I didn't see other yoga teachers as competition. I didn't see all of the other business owners as someone standing in my way. I just went to a Facebook group for Munich, or I really was very specific, right? Because there's so many Facebook groups and many of them also have very questionable people in them that that are not necessarily people I would want to connect with. I've Yeah, so I was very specific in the sort of Facebook groups that I joined, and I would just post in and be like, "Hey, does anybody want to come to a donation-based yoga class in the park?" and try to experience it. And then, yeah, it was donation-based for a long time in the beginning. Then I started to charge for it, and I think because people started to get to know me. I was posting about it on Instagram very often as well, but not at all in a strategic way. I think like now especially because we've got this information overload as entrepreneurs, there is so much expertise out there that it's so easy to get stuck in I need to learn this perfectly before I do it. And that like, I don't know, I don't remember that being the case when I started. So when I started, I was just posting on my Instagram stories, a random post on Instagram, but like, I'm just gonna put it out there. If someone sees it, great. Now there's like a whole strategy behind it, and now I need to do this and that, and all of these things that we've learned that apparently work and don't work. Somehow I didn't have that pressure in the beginning when I started. So yeah, Facebook groups, donation based, starting to build a community, getting people to get to know me basically, and then them telling other people that I exist, and this is what I do, and continuously talk about it.
And is that still a strategy for you, or has like, or do you use other things as you moved into the somatic coaching?
Yeah. Because community is a big aspect of what I do, it is still a big part of it. There is definitely a lot more, let's say, strategy behind my social media, my marketing, now that I know for the past couple of years that it's definitely a serious thing I want to really focus on and do. So, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp community works very well for me because it allows us all to connect. And at the end, again, right, community being my core value in business, I want people to get to know one another, to talk between one another as well. And now, yeah, I would say that those are still my main places where I find people, where people find me.
Do you host your own community? Like, do you have your own WhatsApp group or your own Facebook group, or do you just participate in other people's?
I have my own WhatsApp community that we do have. I have an online membership as well, but that's like a paid offering. So while it's a community, it's not the community in the sense that brings new people in. And a Facebook community or Facebook group, I technically have. It's definitely something that I have not been given enough time and attention to. If I had another like 10 sets of hands and 20 more people working for me, probably would put a lot more effort in there. At the moment, no. I attend different events. I connect with people through more natural ways in a way. So like attending other people's events, not necessarily with the intention to like take them to my events, but just for people to get to know me. And that's really, this was a decision I made this year specifically, where I decided like I need to put this weight off my shoulders because this weight of competing against one another and marketing myself to, I don't know, be better or show my expertise in comparison to all the other people doing what I do, it just felt so sticky for me. Like I don't know, it never really felt right for me. And this year I decided, you know what? I'm just going to tell people who I am, what I do. If they like it, great. If they don't like it, great. Like I'm not going to be spending too much time and energy trying to persuade people or even tell people that they need the services that I offer. And that like it just that really helped to release that pressure from myself and just go into it like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I trust that the right people are going to come. And it's been proving to work very well this year.
Yeah, I have experienced that as well. I want to tuck into memberships a little bit because I have toyed with that idea, but the whole thing kind of scares me and it seems like a lot of work. I want to know like do you like what platform do you use? And B, can you talk about the structure of it, how people join, like yeah, just tell me everything.
I love memberships. My focus in business is that my membership is my key focus, like key money bringer in my business. I want that to be the core of my business. So I use a platform called Podia. I love it. It has many flaws, but it has way more benefits, and it's super easy to use. And I've been using it ever since I started my business, honestly. And now that I have so many things on there, I just don't even want to consider moving to a different platform for that reason. So, how does my membership work? I offer live sessions. We have 5 or 6 live sessions a month, various lengths there with various different focuses. So we've got meditation, journaling, we've got movement, we've got community connection, as well as different self-care practices and different kind of circles for that. So I offer these live sessions in my membership. And then I upload these recordings to Podia, which is where my membership is held. So all of the recordings live on there. And because community is my key focus, it's not just about the live sessions and the recordings. We have a Facebook group. So that's just a closed Facebook group for the members of the membership. And there we connect, we set intentions, we celebrate one another. It's a real, like the engagement in this membership, it's called the Self-Led Sisterhood. So it really feels like a sisterhood. It just feels like people are able to truly, truly connect with one another as well. So that's the technical side of it.
And is this Germany wide, worldwide, Munich only?
Worldwide. I have a lot of people that are on there are in Munich because they know me from here and they recognize the benefit of being able to just jump on a session live and really take care of themselves in deeper ways and work on themselves in deeper ways. But I have people from England, from New Zealand, from Belgium. Yeah, England, Germany, Belgium, New Zealand. I'm probably missing someone,
Okay,
but
but
yeah.
all international. It's an
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
international thing. And I know you just said, and I totally appreciate like not being overly hustly or hard charging with your marketing, but still, how do you two things that always and it's kind of silly to I always start thinking about platforms when I think about doing things. And I know personally sometimes I'm just like, "Oh, I don't want another sign in." If somebody's like, "Oh, Discord or join," or it's like, "Ah, I have too many things going on." So I always that's like a stumbling block for me personally. Like if I start something like there's school and there's circle, there's
Yeah.
all, and I'm in a few circle communities and I'm in Slack group and we're in a WhatsApp group together and I have this tool that like combines all the messages and all of the things because I also have a kid and that's on Signal and I get overwhelmed by like all the different platforms. So I know it's kind of a silly question, but it always just seems like it's another thing you're asking people to do. So that's one thing. But apparently people do join and that's not a stumbling.
Yeah, but this is actually because of what you just said. And I personally don't like this whole 10,000 different platforms, 10,000 different logins and places to check for notifications. I think this is why, as a society, as a humans on this world, we've become overstimulated. We have way too much of everything everywhere, and we no longer only have to remember to eat and clean and look after ourselves, but we need to remember to check Slack and WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and Signal and Circle and Telegram and threads. Like, I don't know, there's just so many. So I am with you on that. This is why, even though Podia offers their own, it kind of works like a Facebook community group, I don't use them. I use Facebook group because most of the people are already on Facebook, and if they're not, they're able to just favorite our Facebook group. It's also not overloaded. I don't want to add overstimulation to people. So because of what our membership is, I'm able to minimize it to the things that actually benefit them rather than making them even more overwhelmed. But this is why we use Facebook group, and the disadvantage of that, and I've had a couple of people come to me and tell me that already, that don't have Facebook. If they don't have Facebook, if they come to me, they want to join my membership, I say, well, either happy to open up an account to be able to use the Facebook group from our sisterhood, or it's not the membership for you. Because a big part of our sisterhood is the connection that we have towards one another, and that happens within the Facebook group. So it's a benefit because it's a platform that many people are already on, but it is also a disadvantage for those that are not on Facebook and don't want to open up an account there.
Yeah, there's always like the handful of people
Yeah.
that aren't on X platform, not X, but whatever fill in the blank platform. And then you just have to pick one and
Yeah.
put a stake in the ground and go with it. And so, how do you attract people to your membership? Like, how do you get the word out about it?
Mainly social media marketing, Instagram solely.
Like ads or just
No,
just being active on Instagram?
at the moment it's all organic. I am currently working very hard to start a new funnel of ads. So like actually starting to dip my toes into ads with the whole funnel of like a freebie, a midterm offering, and then it leading into my membership. So that's something that I'm working on really hard in the background for the past, let's say, 3 weeks. So it's still very fresh. I haven't started any ads for it yet, but that's definitely where I want to go. I don't want to be 24/7, not that I have to be on there, but I don't want to be required to be on there in order for my business to be getting leads and people in. So ads is definitely something that I will be exploring quite a lot.
Yeah, I have to say, like, my main social media channel is LinkedIn, which I'm fine going on. I don't mind going on there, and it's like kibitzing about work, and it's worked for me well. And then I put an evergreen on my Instagram because I don't know why. I didn't want to be on there all day. It doesn't bother me. And now I'm kind of doing it again for the Germany list, and I just remember how much I hate it. I actually like it if it's fun. If I'm just like doing
Yeah.
it and I have like my private one for my family, so I can share pictures of my kid and my dog and all that. But then it's like, oh my God, this is such a job. This is such a grind. And then now I got to do reels and the stories and the algorithm. And it's like, yay. And I sort of think like, okay, at some point, maybe we need to think about ads. But then I just like, we're just going to like burn a pile of money. Like you know, I- and then the funnel and it gets overwhelming. Like right now I am moving towards, well, I'm of two minds about it because it just seems like, well, if you get the machine set up right, then like,
Hmm.
just throw money at it and solve the problem. But it seems like a heavy lift, and I'm just like, I'd rather just like meet people in person and have coffee chats because it's easier. But I mean, this is part of being a solo business owner is finding the right method.
Yeah, and there's so many different platforms, so many different strategies, and like you said, methods in order to get our word out, get our services out there. And I think the thing that can really help us decide which strategy is the best one for us is thinking a little bit long term. Like, where do you see your business in 6 months, in 1 year time? I'm not saying like 5 or 10 years, but maybe also, but like in the near long future, do you want to be working with 5 people? Then I'm guessing meeting them in person and doing LinkedIn and doing just direct messages works very well for that. But if I want my membership to grow to 50 people or 100 people, that's not a number I'm willing to spend my so much time in meeting people personally. So this is where we have to look a little bit on the numbers side of things and recognize, well, yeah, if so many people come and get my freebie, maybe only 10% of them will move up to a mid-tier offer and then a membership. So this is where then maybe different strategies would work better, like ads. With Instagram, with social media in general, there is always so many things to keep in mind, so many different, yeah, like you said, post a reel beyond the stories, post a carousel, all of these other aspects to tick the boxes. And here, really, I'm just using this in my whole business this year, just to like let go of the pressure. Do you know what? We are one person. So I have someone now helping me with social media. So I'm actually writing the content, the captions, the hooks, and she does the creating of the video and the scheduling of it on social media for me for 15 posts a month. So it's not even every single day. And that is a huge help. So now I'm able to focus my time on other things as well to maybe improve on them and make them a little bit better. But if I am one person and I am in a service-based business, which means that a lot of my time I'm with my clients, there's only so much more time that we have to do admin stuff, to do bookkeeping, to do finance, to learn on how to do all of these different things. We just got to let go of the pressure. We just have to do it and we will learn along the way rather than waiting to learn and perfect everything and hit all the tick boxes. If we're posting on Instagram, we need to do this, this, this. Like, no, just post. Just start doing it.
Okay, so I want to pivot a little bit and talk about your retreats.
Mhm.
So I noticed you had one in February. Obviously, these are local and in person. And I guess I have two questions. How do you find the locations? And how did you get it sold out?
How do I find locations? Yeah, that is a great question. A lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of writing emails and contacting people. I also look at retreats being held in the area and where they are being held. And I think that's actually the first thing that I did. So I just looked at retreats being held in the area that I'm interested in holding the retreat in, seeing what sort of retreats are being offered where and at what price point, because there's a difference going for a location that maybe a retreat is sold at €700 versus €3,000. And I knew that I want my retreats to be on the more accessible side. So I not the whole complete extreme high end ticket. So I just looked at different places, contacted, visited the ones that I was interested in. So that part really takes a long time. It takes a long time, a lot of effort. And how did I sell out my retreat? So yeah, our February retreat, which we now have, I think we've had it for the past three or 4 years now. It's really difficult to remember. Time just goes by way too fast. 3 or 4 years. Every February we've had a retreat, or beginning of the year we've had a retreat. And the reason why they sell out is because of the strong community that I'm building. It's because of everything else. It's the membership, it's the in-person events that I hold in Munich, it's the connection that I hold with people even through Instagram. Like it's still me on there. I'm still just like human, I like to talk. So really, it's been focusing first on growing a strong community and knowing when they are ready for a retreat and only then starting to offer a retreat. I have spoken to a couple of other business owners who wanted to start offering retreats without even doing any in-person gatherings beforehand and or any let's say regular services beforehand, and they just want to go directly into retreats. I know that it works for some. It wouldn't work for me, and I know that it doesn't work for a lot of people when it comes to such a commitment like a retreat.
Tell me about the in-person gatherings you host in Munich. So what are those like?
Yep. So we do sometimes casual gatherings, which are free, unpaid connection kind of gatherings with people who are into the similar stuff like we are. And then we also do at least one a month, a paid circle. And every single month it's a different theme. Sometimes, or let's say the two most popular circles that I keep repeating and offering. First one is Sacred Rage. So it's a circle where we fully dive into our anger, feeling it, expressing it, learning a little bit about it, and allowing ourselves to be loud, to scream, to punch, to push. Like it's great. It gets me really high. So sacred rate circles, and the other part is a more softer circle, let's say, are cacao and sound ceremonies. So I work with ceremonial cacao as well. So I offer that in my offerings. So these are the two main ones that I tend to repeat very often. They are very similar to what a lot of people might know as women's circles, but they are open to men as well, and they are always themed. So I don't think I have ever hosted a circle and just said it's a women's circle or what I used to call them a soul circle because it was open to everybody without a theme. So they always have some sort of a theme, whether it's people pleasing or setting boundaries or connecting to our playfulness. Again, very much related to my somatic work with emotions and what that all involves.
This is maybe a strange question, but where do you host these?
I host Munich circles and different places. Very often, I rent a studio just on like an ad hoc basis, so I don't own my own space. Maybe in the future, but currently I don't own my own space and I rent. Very often, it's a yoga studio that has availability at that time, or a community studio that I also know one of here in Munich. So it's not necessarily a yoga space. They don't have any yoga equipment, but they rent it to people who do these sort of circles. And how do I find those? I also research, Google, I look at where people are holding stuff. And unfortunately, in Munich specifically, is really difficult to find. And they are crazy price. Like these are not things that give a lot of profit in the business because the costs are really high in Munich for renting spaces for 2 or 3 hours. But it's a really great way in my business to connect with people and meet them in person.
That's why I asked. I thought about hosting events for a while, every now and then, and it was actually quite hard to find a space
Yeah.
where you could break even. So that's like
Yeah.
something to factor in. And then so you kind of nurtured this community through these events. And so are these the people that tend to attend your retreats, or is it also from that broader international community?
50-50 actually. So probably half of every retreat has reoccurring students of mine that have been to a retreat before or have been to some sort of other circles with me before. And the other half of the participants are sometimes even completely strangers, like that have just met me through Instagram, connected with me on there, and have related to what I offer, but they don't live in Munich, so they can't join the Munich events. And they decide to join our retreat. So it's a 50-50 mark. And that's actually the split that we had in February this year. We had 50% of the people that were there were previous participants, previous retreat participants. We had a couple of completely people that I was meeting for the first time, and a handful of them that know me through our in person gatherings or online community.
Do you do any newsletter marketing?
Mm, yes, I do. This is something I've done right from the beginning of my business because I found it was the easiest and fastest way to let people know about what we're doing where. So really in the beginning it was more like a logistical thing. I was like, "Oh yeah, I need to send everybody the same message." So that's what I used. And now I again, right, when I have the time and I learn a little bit more on how to improve myself in these different marketing fields, I definitely believe that we all should have an email list. Like this is the only thing we really own as like a way to communicate with our people. WhatsApp we don't own, Facebook, Instagram, like these are not things that can just get shut down one day and all of a sudden we have no way to stay in touch with our communities. So yes, definitely I do have an email list and now I send more connecting emails. So actually, I'm able to share a little bit more about myself. I am someone who loves to talk, and sometimes the 60-second restriction on Instagram does my head in. It's like, no, I need 60 seconds to just get into what I'm trying to say. So I use email very much for that to share longer stories, celebrations from the community, intentions from the community. And I've just this month, funnily enough, have started sending weekly emails. Previously, it was once a month, just a monthly offload like, hey, this is what happened in my life in the past month. These are the sessions that we've done. And these are the gatherings that we've had. And this is what's coming up next month. And now I've started sending every Friday a weekly love letter where it's so much fun. And again, I don't know how long I'll be doing this for, but I'm approaching my business again from this playful and fun way. I want it to feel easy. I want it to feel good. And I've decided I want to sit down, write my email as if I am talking to a friend in a coffee shop. Like, I just want to talk to you about something that's coming up in my life. Because very often I this is just my life. I experience the most strange things sometimes, and the challenges and struggles or very minimal things, but somehow my head makes it into like this big life lesson every single time. And I want to be able to share that. So I've started sending out weekly offloads to a friend in a cafe, but via email.
Yeah, I try and approach it that way too. Not always with success, but I try and maintain that mindset. All right, let's come into the home stretch here. And I would like to close with a question that I also end podcasts with. What, like, if you had to do it all over again, what would you change? Or what's some advice you would give to somebody starting their own self-employment journey in Germany?
How many points can I give?
As many as you want.
I'm going to try to keep it nice and simple and concise. You don't need any more certifications. You just need to start doing things. Oh my God, the way I got stuck in the beginning of my journey. I was like, no, I need to do this certification and learn how to do that and this and this. Like, no, just trust yourself. Be a human. And if you approach it from, especially if you're working B2C, like you're actually working with other people and in a service-based business, like we're human to human. We're working with humans. So just do it. So you don't need any more certifications. That's definitely something I would remember in the beginning. Hire a coach. Oh, when I hired my coach, I worked for a coach for the first time, can you believe it? Last year. So I've been in business for 3 years completely alone. And then the 2014, throughout the whole year, I had a business coach. And now I had a coach in the beginning of this year, and I've currently am in between having one and not having one. But the year that I had a business coach changed so much for me. Mentally, I felt better because I wasn't doing everything by myself anymore. I had another person to run off ideas that knew in like my business in and out. I had a community because it was a group coaching part of it as well. Like other businesses, other own like solo entrepreneurs to connect with, which is like I know that we have a lot of these networking gatherings and entrepreneurial Facebook groups and ways to meet other people that way. But I truly believe that if we pay for a coaching container, we are going to get so much more from it than just attending a networking event that every single time you meet new people in, and you can't really help yourself as much in that way. So hire a coach. Like find one in your budget. I promise you there will be one. And just start, like just work with somebody because it will feel so much nicer doing this business thing. I want to give three because, like, two, that's a bit strange. I want to give three. The third one, there's like part three, part one, and three, part two. The earlier you define your values, the easier it will get to lead yourself with integrity and lead your business with integrity. So get clear on your values and who you are and what you stand for and stick to that. That is something that I didn't do when I started my business. I thought, and this is this chronic people pleaser that like this is the whole thing about my whole business is about. This is the women that I work with, but I applied that to my business too. I was trying to be the person for everybody. And I know we hear this thing of like niche down and niche down and niche down. Every single time I hear someone say niche down, I go into like, I don't know, I see red. I'm like, no, I don't know what you mean by niche down. So I'm not going to tell you to niche down. I'm going to tell you get to know yourself so deeply that everything you do in your business aligns with you. And that is going to attract the right people that you want to work with and really accept only the people that you want to work with. I didn't do that in the beginning. I worked with everybody that came and it was just like, oh, I feel so lucky. I have these clients coming in. But then figuring out halfway through them, I'm either starting to resent what I'm doing because I'm not working in the way that feels right for me, or resenting the people that I'm working with because they were not the people that I wanted to work with. So,
Yeah, I like that you said that. I find resentment is a very helpful business signal. Like if I ever find myself in resentment, like I either know something's wrong with the pricing or the kind of work I want to do or the clients I want to take in, and it's kind of like what you're saying, it's a body signal. It's not a
Yeah.
rational process. It's like, oh yeah, I don't like this. I need to make a change. And it's, it's not a fun thing to experience, but it's a helpful signal.
Yes. It's exactly the thing that I do, right? Every emotion that we have, it's not about finding the reason for it that's going to make it worthy. It's no, this is what I'm feeling. My body's telling me something, my nervous system's telling me something, and I just need to listen to it. And the more we start to trust that and do that, this whole business thing, this whole life thing is just going to be so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's a great place to end. So, Paulina, thanks for coming on. And where can people find you?
Thank you for having me. I love to connect, as I've mentioned several times on Instagram. That's definitely the right place to connect with me. Instagram, I'm called with.paulina, so it should be really easy to find me. And send me a message. Like, let's not forget that these and our Instagram accounts are humans. We are not just Instagram accounts. Like, it's not an Instagram account you're connecting with. You are connecting with me as a human. So reach out to me, send me a message. I love to just have a chat. Like, I love chatting.
Okay, well, great. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. You can find this and all other Germany Expat Business Show podcasts at thegermanylist.de. Bye.